Revealed. The incredible woman washing dishes at a luxury party. Her husband owned the mansion. Sarah stood in the cavernous kitchen of the Montgomery mansion, the clattering of fine china under running water a stark contrast to the lavish ball underway just steps away. A golden chandelier basked the ballroom in a glow that was both beautiful and blinding. Yet here Sarah was, a shimmering ghost, hidden amongst the suds and stains of someone else's celebration. Her apron, faded and grease-stained, felt like a noose tied around her neck, binding her to a life of unremarkable labor, one she never imagined would be her reality after losing her husband, a brave soldier who had believed in hard work over wealth. Every dish she scrubbed represented a deeper grime, the sacrifice of her late husband, who had laid down his life for his country and family. She could almost hear his hearty laughter echo in her mind, urging her to find dignity in every drop of sweat. However, her heart ached, not just from reminiscing but from the thought of Lily, her daughter, now ensnared by the allure of affluence and the charm of the Montgomerys. A part of Sarah wanted to scream out, wanted her daughter to see that beautiful chandeliers could cast shadows just as easily as they illuminated. The sound of the ballroom grew muffled, like a secret she was no longer a part of. It was at this moment that the kitchen door swung open and Lily entered. Her eyes widened, face unrecognizable in pristine makeup. She looked rich, vibrant, and free. Frozen between excitement and disbelief, she blinked at her mother, the woman who had raised her to fight with dignity yet now stood knee-deep in someone else's dirty dishes. "Mom." Lily's voice trembled, a mixture of confusion and shame. She hadn't expected to see her mother here, not in this role. With a tight chest and tears threatening to spill, Sarah met her daughter's surprised gaze. "Lily," but the silence swallowed her words. Her heart raced. They were worlds apart in this moment, two souls struggling in a vast chasm of dreams and reality. The laughter from the party seeped through the walls, a chilling reminder of the life that had become a shimmering mirage for Lily, who could have easily been comfortable in this world of privilege. Just then, a young social media influencer, confidently sipping a cocktail, had paused to take in the scene. She whipped out her smartphone, capturing Sarah's world and turning it into an unexpected sensation, sparking debates online about work, dignity, and socioeconomic divides. What does it really mean to succeed? Followers began to ask, their screens lighting up with outrage and empathy. That instant, Sarah felt an unexpected surge of courage flooding through her. She pushed through the kitchen door, leaving behind the bubbles and muck that had defined her for so long. The cacophony of the party muted as all eyes turned towards her. "It's not just about champagne and crystal," she spoke, voice steady yet layered with emotion. "It's about loyalty, family, and the struggles that make us who we are." Tension thickened, laughter faded to an uneasy hush. Sarah's raw presence challenged the night and the assumptions that cloaked it. But before she could grasp the power she had wielded over the crowd, there was a sudden commotion at the entryway. The door swung open again, revealing someone from her past, someone who might hold the key to her future. Collective gasps filled the room, and the air crackled with anticipation. Would they finally see her? Would they understand? As eyes widened in surprise and whispers filled the air, Sarah's heart raced, caught in the whirlwind of emotion, awaiting the next chapter of her story, one that could change everything. The figure standing in the doorway brought a pause to the bustling party, a moment seemingly frozen in time. Sarah squinted, realizing the person before her was Max, her late husband's best friend. Years had passed since she last saw him. His sharp suit gleamed under the opulent lights, but his eyes held a deep sadness that mirrored her own. "Sarah?" he breathed, disbelief carved into his features. The world around them faded, leaving just the two of them locked in a shared history of loss and unspoken words. "Max," she managed to whisper, her voice trembling as a flood of emotions rushed in. She hadn't anticipated seeing him here, certainly not in such a stark setting. In an instant, the party resumed its chatter, but Sarah and Max seemed suspended in another realm. "I heard about Daniel," he said softly, his voice weighted with empathy. "I'm so sorry." The words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, moments of vulnerability arising from the hardship they both shared. Sarah took a step forward, a connection blooming between them. "Thank you. It's been really tough," she admitted, feeling both exposed and relieved to share her pain with someone who understood. Lily watched, her mouth agape. She sensed the emotional gravity between her mother and this stranger, a man who reminded her of the father she barely knew. Confusion swirled within her, but she couldn't tear her gaze away. Max glanced at Lily, his expression softening. "You've grown up so much, Lily. I remember when you were just a little girl." His voice trailed off, lost in memories of a happier time. It struck Sarah how different things were now, how their world had shifted like sand underneath them. "I was just out there, at the party. It's hard to see everyone wrapped up in their perfect lives." Lily finally spoke, stepping closer to her mother. The invisible chasm between them felt narrower now, as understanding began to transcend unvoiced judgments. Max nodded. "Sometimes it takes facing hardship to really see what matters," he said, glancing back at Sarah. "You've been strong, Sarah. You've raised a remarkable daughter." A small warmth spread in her chest at his words. It was a lifting reminder that her struggles weren't meaningless. But could she maintain her strength? Each dish she had washed, every tear shed, could it really lead to something more? The atmosphere in the room fluctuated. Curiosity buzzed among the guests as they whispered about Sarah's unanticipated influence and Max's unexpected arrival. Channeling that growing energy, Sarah spoke again, this time with conviction. "We've all been sold a false narrative. Success isn't about wealth. It's about love, sacrifice, and resilience. It's heart over circumstance." She felt emboldened, and the attendees shifted, taking in her passionate words. Max stepped closer, as if grounded by her light. "Let us not just be spectators of our lives," he added, voice strong now. "Let us make a stand. Together." Lily's expression shifted from confusion to realization, as if a door had cracked open in her heart. But even as the words flowed, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were still standing on the precipice of change. Just then, the sound of a angry shout rang from the back of the room. All heads turned towards the commotion, as another familiar figure emerged, festering resentment swirling in their eyes. "Sarah, you don't belong here." The attack hung heavy in the air. Her heart pounded as she recognized the voice, a relationship long buried and emotions she thought she left behind. Would they take her newfound courage and tear it down once more? As the confrontation escalated, Sarah gripped Max's arm tightly, wondering if she truly had the strength to face her past. The crowd waited with bated breath, sensing the collision ahead. Did she have the power to reclaim her story, or would the shadows of her life consume her? As tensions rose and the stakes became ever more profound, the next chapter loomed, waiting for her choice to unfold. Time seemed to stretch in that moment, the urgent shout echoing through the room like a gunshot in silence. Sarah's heart raced, her breath trapped in her throat. She turned to see Rachel standing there, a whirlwind of fury and resentment, her hands balled into fists at her sides. Symptoms of their tumultuous past bore down on her, urging Sarah to retreat. But this wasn't about running away. "Rachel," Sarah began, her voice steadying with effort, hoping to keep the fracture from widening further. "This isn't what you think." The faces of the surrounding guests blurred in her periphery. They whispered and gawked, their eyes flitting between the three of them like a movie scene suspended in time. "You don't get to show up here and act like you belong." Rachel shot back, her voice dripping with disdain. "You think people have forgotten? You're just an unwanted shadow haunting our lives." Tension blanketed the crowd. Sarah felt Lily shift beside her, a quick flick of her gaze revealing concern, yet a flicker of solidarity. She could sense that her daughter couldn't quite grasp everything happening, the weight of history bearing down on them all. "Enough." Max's voice, deep and commanding, broke through Rachel's tirade. He took a step forward, his eyes fierce yet calm. "Sarah has every right to be here. We've all faced loss, but attacking her won't heal your wounds." Rachel's glare flicked to Max, a brief moment of surprise crossing her features. "And what would you know about it?" "I know about loss. I know what it means to be a friend," he declared, holding himself taller, his suit glinting under the lights as if he were a knight amid chaos. "This isn't the place for old grudges. It's a celebration of life and resilience." Sarah felt a swell of gratitude towards Max, but the weight of Rachel's anger was still palpable. "Rachel, I never meant to hurt you," Sarah continued. I'm just trying to find my way again, to be stronger for Lily stronger? Rachel laughed bitterly, cutting her off. You think you can wash your hands of the past like some dirty dishes? You can't just erase what happened. The room hummed with a mixture of sympathy and judgment. Sarah's mind raced, memories clashing with the present. Each word Rachel hurled was a reminder of painful moments she thought she had fortified against. Maybe I can't erase it, Sarah admitted, her voice soft but firm. But I refuse to let it keep me chained to hurt. I'm here to rise above it. The crowd shifted, energy crackling through the air. She felt eyes affixed to her, some lost in pity, others ignited with unexpected admiration for her bravery. Behind her, she sensed Lily's biting interest, uncertain but hungry for the truth. Drawing in a deep breath, Sarah fixed her gaze back on Rachel. You've heard, I see that. And I'm sorry for my part. But I won't stand by and let our past dictate our future any longer. A beat passed as both women caught their breath. For a brief moment, the chaos faded, the world narrowing to just them, two souls grappling with sorrow and resilience. Rachel's expression waned, her anger warring with vulnerability. You think you're a hero now? She scoffed, but the fire in her voice was dimming. Not a hero, Sarah replied calmly, just a woman fighting to reclaim her story, step by step. Maybe we both can find a way to heal, together. The room tensed, but Sarah stood firm. She noticed a tear slip down Rachel's cheek, the anger dissolving into something softer and more relatable grief. And there it was, the quiet hum of understanding. Suddenly, Sarah glimpsed a chance for closure, but doubt tugged at her heart. Would Rachel truly accept it, or would old wounds remain forever festering? The next moment would be crucial. Would Rachel extend a branch of peace, or pull Sarah back into her storm? In the midst of all the uncertainty, a silent tension reigned over the crowd, waiting for that answer to unfold. Rachel hesitated, her composure cracking like thin ice. The room fell so still that Sarah could almost hear the beating of her own heart. Every second stretched as she caught the glimmer of vulnerability in Rachel's eyes, making it feel like the weight of their shared history was hanging just above them, ready to break. Together? Rachel scoffed, her voice barely above a whisper, but the anger hadn't left completely. You think we can just work this out like it's nothing? You don't know what you've done, what you've taken from us. A breath caught in Sarah's throat. Rachel, it's true I've made mistakes. But I'm here to face them, to put them on the table. I'm not here as a ghost. I want to mend what's been broken. By coming back after all this time? Rachel's eyes narrowed. You think that's enough? Do you know the pain you caused? Rachel's words stung like thorns, digging deep into the past Sarah had long tried to leave behind. She wanted to scream that she understood, that she had hurt too. But instead, she softened her tone. I can't change what has happened, but I can change how I move forward. And I want you to be part of that. I won't stop. Rachel's voice rose, cutting through Sarah's plea. Stop trying to fix me like I'm some broken toy you can just mend. This isn't a project for you. This is my life, my heart. Then let me help, Sarah begged, feeling the tears swell in her own eyes. The tension in the air hung thick, raw emotions pouring from both of them. Lily, watching in stunned silence, finally stepped forward. Mom, please. Her small voice, earnest and pleading, cut through the heaviness. This can't keep going on like this. We need to stay out of this. Rachel barked at Lily, her frustration bubbling over. But in the next instant, she turned back to Sarah, her voice shaking. Why should I trust you? You've already abandoned us once. What's to say you won't do it again? Because I have something to prove, Sarah said, her voice becoming steadier. To myself, to you, and to Lily. I can't live like this anymore. I want a chance to show you I can be better. Rachel's expression wavered between disbelief and that faint flicker of hope Sarah had glimpsed moments before. The crowd was entranced, the energy shifting. Some people's whispers turned to quiet gasps, a shared recognition of the weight hanging in the air. Do you really think that just saying sorry makes everything okay? Rachel challenged, her defenses rising. Words don't bring back the past. No, they don't. Sarah shook her head, speaking with conviction. But they open the door to the future. I want us to start the healing process together. The room seemed to inhale collectively, the tension morphing into something almost palpable. Rachel looked down, tears glistening in her eyes. The fight seemed to drain from her, leaving a raw vulnerability in its place. Taking a tentative step forward, Rachel whispered, "I don't know if I can forgive you." Her voice cracked, betraying the fortress she had held around her heart. "I'm not asking you to forgive me now," Sarah replied softly, her heart aching for the pain in front of her. "I'm just hoping we can begin to find our way back to each other, step by step." At that moment, Sarah felt a flicker of possibility, but the fear of rejection loomed large. Would Rachel really allow herself to hope again? Would she let her guard down, even just a little? The answer seemed to hang in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Just when Sarah thought the tension might shatter, a new voice pierced through the silence. "What is happening here?" Max's deep tone broke the spell, and both women turned to him, confusion etched on their faces. In the wake of his unexpected arrival, Sarah's heart sank. Could this moment of connection be derailed so quickly? Would the door she tried to open for healing be slammed shut once more? The answer loomed as Max stepped closer, concern written on his brow, and the crowd held its collective breath. Max's presence hung like a cloud over them, dark and foreboding. The whispers died down, and all eyes turned toward him. Rachel's posture stiffened, her eyes narrowing as she took in Max's worried expression. "We were just talking," she said, her tone defensive. But there was an edge of unease in her voice. "Talking? It looks like you both are on the brink of something," Max said, his voice steady. He shifted his gaze between Rachel and Sarah, assessing the tension that hung in the air. Sarah could feel her heart racing, a thud pounding in her chest. Would Rachel push her away again, like she had in the past? Or would this be the moment everything changed? "I came here to apologize," Sarah blurted out, unable to keep her emotions bottled any longer. "To explain myself, to try and put the pieces back together." "I didn't apologizing doesn't fix everything," Max interjected, folding his arms across his chest. His presence was a wall of barrier between Sarah and the reunion she desperately sought with Rachel. Rachel sighed deeply, taking a step back from both of them. "I need to process this everything." Her eyes flickered to Max, then back to Sarah, as if debating which path to take. "This is too much right now." Lily, who had been silently observing, stepped between her mother and Max, her tiny hands fisted at her sides. "But Mom, you always say we should give people a chance. Maybe Sarah really wants to change." Her voice wavered, the innocence of a child carrying hope against overwhelming fear. Rachel's eyes softened as she looked at Lily, the flicker of conflict playing across her face. "Sweetheart, it's not that simple, but it should be," Lily insisted, her frustration giving way to tears. "Can't you see that? You're my mom, and you deserve to choose how this goes. Please don't shut her out again." The room was silent, the air thick with tension as everyone glanced between the three of them. Sarah felt a glimmer of gratitude and despair meeting in her chest. Lily was bravely fighting her battles, and yet it felt so fragile, like a delicate glass ready to shatter. Rachel took a step forward, her emotions spilling over. "I want to believe that you can be here, that you can be a part of our lives again. But I can't just forget what you did." "I don't want you to forget," Sarah replied, her voice trembling but unwavering. "I want to make new memories. I want to earn back your trust." Max shifted uncomfortably. "Rachel, this isn't just going to go away. It's messy. Trust doesn't heal in an instant. Think about what you want, what's best for Lily." Rachel closed her eyes, taking a deep breath and fighting back her fatigue. She was clearly torn, the person she had been before the hurt colliding with a life that now felt anchored to pain. Her gaze drifted to Lily, then finally back to Sarah. I don't know if I can handle this again," Rachel admitted, desperation creeping into her voice. "How can we move forward from something that hurts so much?" As Rachel's words hung in the air, the tension shifted. Uncertainty mingled with hope, swirling like fallen leaves in a storm. Sarah could see the conflict brewing within Rachel, the fight against hope battling the residue of past hurts. And just like that, the moment shifted again. "Mom, whatever happens, I'm going to love you," Lily said, her voice soft but firm. "That's all that matters." Rachel's walls cracked slightly, revealing a vulnerability that made Sarah's heart ache. But before Rachel could respond, Max spoke again, resolute. "Rachel, think about what you want for Lily's future." As the weight of his words settled, they all felt the shift. But would it be enough? Could Rachel open her heart, or would the door remain closed, locked by fear and hesitation? Max inhaled deeply. We all deserve a chance. But it's up to you. Sarah held her breath, the air thick with anticipation. Rachel stared into the distance, the uncertainty casting shadows across her features. What would she choose? And as Sarah watched, hope and fear danced in her chest. She wondered, was it really possible to heal these wounds, or were they doomed to remain forever apart? The question loomed large, heavy in the air as the moment hung, teetering on the edge of transformation. Rachel's gaze flickered between the two most important people in her life. Her heart pounded as if trying to escape her chest. Max's stance remained rigid, a sentinel for unresolved pain, while Lily's small body shook with emotions only a child could express so honestly. A soft whimper escaped Lily as her mother hesitated. You can't always just run away from what hurts, she whispered, wiping away tears. Not from Sarah, not from me. Rachel took a slow, tentative breath, her mind racing with memories both sweet and bitter. The days when laughter filled their home felt like a lifetime ago. But here stood Sarah, the person who had shattered her world, now desperately reaching out. Conflicting feelings twisted in Rachel's gut. It was raw, it was real, and yet, was it safe? Lily, Rachel finally breathed, kneeling to her daughter's level. I love you more than anything. But this isn't just about us. It's complicated, and Mom. Lily cut in, her voice rising with urgency. Complicated or not, she's trying. You always say to be brave. Can't you be brave just a little longer? The weight of Lily's words piled onto Rachel's heart. A mix of guilt and hope wrestled with her resolve, and she struggled to reply. She saw the love in Lily's eyes, unwavering and innocent, a light cutting through the shadows of doubt. Max shifted, his arms slowly uncrossing. Rachel, maybe this is the moment you need to either move toward the past or step away for good. Who do you want to be in this story? A silence settled over them, thick and pulsating. Rachel could feel the eyes of the world on her, weighing down her decision. She was both the mother wanting to protect her daughter and the woman who once loved Sarah fiercely. Could both exist side by side? Rachel struggled to find the words that would mirror the chaos in her heart. The memories rolled forth like a tide: Sarah's laughter, the plans they made, the day everything fell apart. I want to be happy, but that feels impossible when every memory is laced with pain. Sarah stepped forward, vulnerability painted across her features. I know I hurt you, and I don't expect things to be the same. But I'm here, ready to put in the work, even if it makes me uncomfortable. I'll fight for you, for both of you. The honesty in her voice reached Rachel, pulling at the threads of her heart. Rather than a wall, Sarah seemed to be offering a door, a path less traveled but still promising sunlight. Rachel's voice shook, uncertainty clawing at her throat. It's not just me. Lily deserves stability. I deserve love. Lily interrupted, her tenderness mixed with fierce determination. And love means giving chances. Please, Mom. Just try. Let us try together. Rachel met Max's eyes, then Sarah's, and she could see the flicker of hope reflected in their gazes. It scared her. It excited her. Could they really navigate this labyrinth of hurt and find a way out? A deep breath filled with longing escaped her, and she considered the possibility of redemption, the risk of healing more uncertain than ever, but impossibly hopeful. Okay, she whispered, almost afraid of her own words. Let us try. But just as relief began to settle into the room, the front door slammed shut, the kind of sound that echoes through time. Silence pulled tight before a new face stepped through, a stranger with an intent glare. What is going on here? He demanded, the implications of his question hanging like an icy gust. Lily instinctively stepped closer to Rachel, while Sarah's eyes widened with fear. Who was this new player? And what would his arrival mean for their fragile reconciliation? Rachel's newly budding hope wavered as the tension thickened once more, dark clouds looming on the horizon. Rachel's heart raced as she took a step back, instinctively placing an arm around Lily, who clung tightly to her side. The stranger's presence felt like cold steel, unnerving and relentless. It wasn't just his glare, it was the certainty in his posture, as though he was judging the worth of this moment that had just begun to glimmer with hope. Max's shoulders stiffened beside her, ready to protect them both, while Sarah's face drained of color. Rachel hadn't anticipated this intrusion, and now it threatened to shatter the fragile balance she'd just begun to restore. "Who are you?" Max's voice was low, each word a quiet tremor. The stranger narrowed his eyes, taking a few steps closer, his hands stuffed deep in the pockets of his tailored jacket. "I'm here for Sarah. I need to know what's going on." There was an edge to his voice, part concern, part challenge. Rachel could see that Sarah seemed small under the weight of his words. "James, please," she breathed, desperation coating her tone. Her distress deepened as each second passed, but Rachel couldn't shake the sting of betrayal that washed over her. "James," Rachel echoed, feeling the name drift through the air like a fallen leaf caught in the wind. Sarah's past had just walked through their front door, and Rachel felt everything she'd just begun to build come crashing down. "You weren't supposed to be here." "Rachel," Sarah tried, her voice barely above a whisper. "This isn't what it looks like." But it looked painfully clear. A face from the past, a ghost that had never really left, stood before them. The split in their world had just widened, and Rachel could feel the warmth of hope slipping through her fingers like sand. "Maybe it is what it looks like." Max's voice was just above a murmur, his gaze still locked on the newcomer. "You think barging in is the way to handle this?" James shot him an icy glance. "I'm not here to cause problems. I need to talk to Sarah, and this is clearly not the right time." Lily shifted uncomfortably, her wide eyes flickering between the adults. Rachel squatted down, brushing a wayward strand of hair from her daughter's face, trying to shield her from the brewing storm. "Sweetheart, why don't you go to your room for a minute?" "No, I want to stay," Lily protested, a glimmer of fear breaking through the facade of bravery she had shown moments before. "Lily, please." Rachel firmed her voice, knowing the importance of keeping their conversation private. With a defeated huff, Lily reluctantly moved towards the hallway, pausing just at the edge. "Promise me you'll be okay." "I promise." But Rachel felt the unease settle inside her, a darkness creeping in where there had been light moments before. Once Lily vanished from view, Rachel rose, taking a deep breath to steady her nerves. "What do you want, James? It's been years. You can't just show up and expect things to pick up where they left off. I know it's messy. I know I left, but I care about Sarah." His voice softened, but it did little to lighten the mood. "And I care about you guys, too. I didn't want to interfere, but I need answers. I gave you your chance. You walked away." Rachel's voice was an edged whisper, but inside her, old scars throbbed as new wounds threatened. "So what do you expect? That you'll just waltz back in and everything is fine?" A long silence hung between them, thick with unresolved tension. Rachel could see it in Sarah's eyes, the plea for understanding, the hope for an answer that might bring peace. But as Rachel's heart wrestled with betrayal alongside desire for reconciliation, James spoke up, a chronic ache underlying his words. "I'm not just here for her. I came to fight for us all." Rachel's heart thudded painfully against her ribs. "Fight for what?" she hissed, feeling the boundaries of her world shift again. James extended a hand, his eyes earnest though conflicted. "I want to help you fix this no matter the cost. Together." Was it genuine? A cruel twist of fate? Hope and uncertainty danced on the edge of Rachel's perception, making her breath hitch. Just then, footsteps echoed from the hallway, and Lily reappeared, her face lit with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Mom, who is he?" Rachel's heart sank. How had they devolved back into chaos so quickly, just when they were grasping at hope? The promise of a confusing journey ahead loomed ominously. She felt both a desire for connection and a rush of dread. Now, with Lily watching, Rachel faced the stranger once more, not sure whether this was the beginning of healing or the start of another journey. All she knew was this: every choice now held the weight of everything. And with every heartbeat, a question lingered: could they truly navigate this storm, or was it too late to find shelter? Rachel's mind spun as she looked from James to Lily. In that fleeting moment, realization washed over her like cold water. Everything she had built, every cautious step she had taken to evolve past the shadows of the past, was now under threat. "Mom." Lily's voice broke through the thick air, innocent and unsure. "Who is this man?" "Lily, honey, it's complicated," Rachel managed to say, her throat tightening. She felt her heart muscle strain against the weight of old disappointments. James took a step forward, his gaze softening toward Lily. I'm a friend of your mother's. A long time ago, he said carefully. There was something in his tone that suggested he wanted to reassure her. But Rachel felt protective instincts surge like fire. You don't get to come here, after all these years, and play the friend card, she snapped, her voice rising involuntarily. Sarah looked between them, eyes wide. Rachel, please, this isn't helping. Why is he here, Sarah? Why now? Rachel demanded, her anger laced with a fear that frightened her. She could see the churning emotions on Sarah's face, a mixture of guilt, longing, and anxiety. We have to talk about everything, Sarah whispered, almost pleading. James has things to explain. Important things. No. Rachel shook her head, feeling the ground beneath her shift. This isn't just about you anymore. This is about us, about Lily. The tension escalated as Lily inched closer, her small hand gripping Rachel's. Is James going to hurt us? She asked, her eyes darting between the three adults, searching for safety. Of course not. James's hands came up defensively, but Rachel felt the heat of uncertainty radiating off him. Then why does it feel like he has already hurt us? Rachel shot back, her heart pounding fiercely. James swallowed hard, the regret in his expression visible even from a distance. I didn't realize the impact my leaving would have. I thought it was best for everyone involved. What was best for you? Rachel countered, her voice heavy with the weight of every past choice. The silence that followed was deafening. Each tick of the clock sounded like a hammer, pounding the reality of their tangled lives. Seconds tugged on her consciousness, questions spiraling in her mind, each one threatening to unravel them even further. Mom. Lily looked up at her, eyes bright and hopeful. Can't we just talk? Just like a family? Rachel felt her heart crack. This wasn't how she envisioned life with Lily, a life torn apart by past mistakes. No. She whispered vehemently. This is far from a family moment. James's face twisted with emotion, a blend of remorse and determination. I came to help, Rachel. I know I hurt you, but I also know things can be repaired. It's not too late for us. Rachel's heart sank. She looked at Sarah, who was watching James with a mix of hope and despair. Could the remnants of their past really be rewritten? What if that was a lie they told themselves? Lily turned to Sarah, still seeking solace, the innocence of her childhood clashing against the suffocating tension of adulthood. Can you help me too? Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as she knelt beside Lily. I want to help, sweetheart. In that moment, Rachel felt her defenses crumble, the fear initially bubbling up now transforming into a crushing vulnerability. Could they be stitched back together, or were they all just pieces of a shattered mirror, reflecting what could have been rather than what was? James reached out, and it felt like a lifeline, but Rachel hesitated. Are you really here to fight for us? Or just to fight for yourself? His answer hung in the air, weighty with implications that neither of them could ignore. And for Rachel, hearing those words was like watching a vivid sunset, beautiful yet haunting. The answer held potential, but also brought uncertainty. Could they navigate the paths laid out before them, or would they remain lost, forever chasing shadows of what once was? Together, James whispered again, his voice firm now. We can overcome this. Could they? Rachel's chest tightened as uncertainty clashed with a flicker of hope. It depended on the choices ahead, but what would they decide when the moment came? Smoke hung in the air, and the end of one journey loomed before them, waiting to be embraced or feared. What could one moment change, and would they be brave enough to step into it? Rachel felt the weight of James's words pressing on her chest. Together echoed in her mind. Could it really mean something, anything, after all those years? She searched his face for sincerity, but uncertainty stung her eyes. Lily tugged at her hand, pulling her back from the depths of doubt. Mom, can't we just listen to him? Her innocent plea cracked through Rachel's armor, reopening a wound she thought was healing. The glimmer of hope in her daughter's eyes reflected back at her, filled with love and trust. Rachel let out a shaky breath. Lily, this isn't just about James, she said gently, kneeling to meet her daughter's gaze. This is about everything we've been trying to build. But maybe he can help us build something better, Lily replied, her voice a soft whisper laced with courage. James watched the exchange, his expression softening. He stepped closer, the space between them shrinking, but Rachel remained grounded, unwilling to let him in completely. Listen, He began, his tone earnest. I know I've made mistakes. Leaving hurt you, hurt Lily, and I hate that I was part of causing you pain. But I'm here now because I want to understand. I want to help you both, if you'll let me. Rachel clenched her fists, uncertainty twisting in her gut. Time felt warped. Would their hearts bend towards healing, or would they snap under the weight of history? Help us, or help yourself, she challenged, searching for a glimmer of the man she once knew. Both, he replied, honesty shimmering in his eyes. I want to make amends. I want to know Lily, to be part of her life. If she'll have me. Lily looked between them, searching for answers even adults couldn't grasp. I want to know you too, James, she said, her voice breaking slightly at the edges. That fragile thread seemed to weave through Rachel's heart, tempering her anger with the sweetness of a child's desire. But before she could respond, Sarah stepped forward, her face etched with a fierce protectiveness. How are we supposed to trust you? You vanished when you were needed the most. Rachel felt the heat from that truth burn fiercely. James's shoulders sagged, the weight of his guilt obvious. I know. I can't change the past. I can only try to make things right moving forward. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, the sound growing louder in the silence. Each tick resonated like a heartbeat, and Rachel felt herself teetering between hope and despair. What if you hurt us again? She voiced the fear swelling in her chest. What if more time passes, and nothing changes? Nothing will change if we don't try, Lily said softly, glancing at James before looking back at her mother. Please, Mom. Rachel's heart twisted, caught in a storm of emotions. She wanted to protect Lily, but at what cost? Could she risk being vulnerable once more? A flicker of anger pulsed through her at James, yet the silent yearning from her daughter's eyes softened it. Lily's innocent plea felt like a beacon cutting through the fog. Let us talk as a family. James's gaze locked onto Rachel's. In that moment, Rachel wrestled with a choice. Could she open the door to their past, risking another heartbreak, or keep it firmly shut? Fine, she breathed, still feeling the uncertainty drape over her like a heavy cloak. We'll talk. But if this is to work, you'll have to prove you're serious. James nodded slowly, determination replacing some of the guilt in his eyes. I'll do anything. Sarah sighed, perhaps sensing the shift, but remained wary. We need to be cautious. We can't let this unravel us again. Together then, James repeated, a hint of confidence rising in his tone. As Rachel observed them, she felt the tension vibrate in the air, as if everything were on the edge of tipping towards hope or falling into despair once more. What lay ahead was uncertain, but within the depths of possibility, a choice shimmered, one that could lead them either toward healing or deeper scars. But one question loomed larger than the rest. Could they really find a way to heal, or was it just another fleeting hope against the relentless tide of their history? In that moment, it became clear real healing required more than just words. It demanded a willingness to confront the past, perhaps even to forgive. Rachel felt a stirring in her chest, a mixture of fear and desire for reconciliation. As the silence enveloped them, she knew this was just the beginning. But would they be ready to face whatever came next? The tension in the room hung like a heavy fog, thick with unresolved pain and fragile hope. Rachel stood at a precipice, torn between her need to protect her daughter and the faint glimmer of healing that flickered at the edges of her heart. Okay, let us talk, she finally relented, her voice steady despite the storm inside her chest. But if we're going to do this, we do it right. No half measures. No more hiding. Lily's face brightened, a smile blooming as if the sun had broken through the clouds. Sarah raised an encouraging eyebrow, the corners of her mouth turning up slightly. But James? He seemed to hold his breath, anticipation and fear mingling in his gaze. Thank you, James said softly. I know I have a long way to go, but I'm ready to face it. His earnest tone pierced the tension, inviting a semblance of trust to wrap around their conversation like a thin, tentative thread. Rachel took a deep breath and glanced at Sarah, who nodded slightly in support. Together, they were peering out into an uncharted territory. We need to be honest with each other, Rachel said, locking eyes with James, feeling the weight of each word. We can't move forward if we don't lay everything bare. As the words left her mouth, Rachel realized she had begun to feel a flicker of control over her own narrative. No longer just the recipient of pain, she was rising up to claim her story. James nodded solemnly, his expression tinged with vulnerability. I understand. I need to be open about why I left and where I've been. And just like that, the dam broke. James spoke of his struggles, how he had thought leaving would ease the burden of their shared pain. The sincerity in his voice transformed the room, carving a path toward understanding. But even as he spoke, every word was filled with the remnants of hurt, and Rachel found herself reflecting on all that had been lost. Everything was shattered when you disappeared, she admitted, her voice cracking like a thin vase dropped on concrete. Your absence left scars that I still feel. I can't ask for your forgiveness, he said, his voice thick with regret. All I can ask for is a chance to try. Lily's hand tightened around her mother's as she squeezed out the hope radiating simply from their fragile bond. Mom, isn't it brave of him? Rachel glanced down at her daughter, seeing the innocence and optimism tucked into the little girl's features. It reminded her, in that moment, that even in the darkest of shadows, there was light. Bravery is not just about speaking, James. It's about showing up every day. You need to be more than words. You need to be a part of our lives if you want to make it right, Rachel declared, her voice stronger now. I want nothing more, he replied, and Rachel could see the sincerity etched on his face. Yet, she still felt a heaviness in the air. What about the past that had burdened them for so long? Old wounds still ached, and Rachel silently fought against their resurgence. Sarah, how do you feel about this? She asked, turning to her friend. Sarah's eyes flickered between them, and she took a step forward, her heart ablaze with both pain and hope. I've seen firsthand how hard it can be to overcome. But healing starts with openness. James makes his choices every day moving forward, and you do too. Rachel turned to Lily, who looked back at her with unwavering trust that filled Rachel's heart with courage. Emily had not only lost her father, but had struggled with loss and identity on her own terms. Yes, Rachel said softly, it's our choice to figure out what family means. If we're going to do this, we all need to heal together. James nodded in understanding, the sincerity in his eyes shining brightly. Then let us take it one day at a time, he offered, glancing at Lily. You deserve to know who I am, to get to know me as your family. Lily, filled with a child's innate hope, smiled brightly. I want that. In that moment, Rachel felt the cracks in her heart begin to mend, piecing together an uncharted future filled with courage and connection. As they sat down together to unravel their stories, the fog that hung over them lightened just a bit, letting in soft rays of hope. Moments turned to hours as the shadows of the past began lifting their heavy arms, revealing pathways toward renewal and healing. Together, they would find their way, ready to embrace a future where family could mean something more, a new tapestry woven from heartbreak, courage, and unyielding love. In the dim light that filled the room, small smiles began to emerge. Voices arose in gentle, tentative tones, each being both a revelation and an invitation. Together, they faced the journey that lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that true transformation was possible when love triumphed over fear. But first, Rachel said, her voice breaking the jubilant silence, let us promise to communicate no matter how hard. We face it all together. Together, they echoed, a new bond freshly formed. In the wake of their new beginning, they felt the weight of each other's stories, intertwining for the first time in harmony, ready to embrace the changes that awaited them. Rachel couldn't help but smile. Within her heart, she knew transforming pain into strength was no easy feat, but it was such a beautiful journey to begin, and as unity washed over them like a gentle wave, Rachel understood. Healing often starts as an act of both courage and love, but it can only bloom with your support. So now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that uplift and inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this transformative journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. Share your thoughts, every voice matters. And for the love of stories, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second, to spread the hope. Your support is what keeps us going.